you let me love you forever, forever? I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Woo! Guys, welcome to TMW Online, the Melanated Way. I'm Linda. That is Abby. We are in 2026 and we're back. And I just feel great about 2026 already. I'm like all peace and love. And I'm spreading blessings to you all. Thank you guys so much for being here. We are covering The Other Way of 90 Day Fiance, season 7. We are now on episode 14. And we'll easily be able to catch up because now it's the new year and there's like not holidays and travel and blah, 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 even though I'm not quite home yet, but I will be. But the title of episode 14 is Gutted, and it is completely accurate. What were your overall thoughts, Abby, of episode 14?
So I watched this one twice, and I changed my mind about 2 different situations that I'll tell you guys about. I have a different feeling about 2 of the characters than I did when I watched it the first time.
Okay.
A change of heart, if you will.
Okay, that's absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. You guys let us know what you thought of the overall episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. 2026, we're trying to like grow our numbers. We're trying to tell a friend. And something that was really beautiful that I want to share with you, Abby, is extended family that I've met quite a few times, but on my sister-in-law's side, they're like, we watch you and Abby every week. And they're like spread out all over the world. And I just think that that's really sweet and adorable.
That is super sweet. Well, hello out there, extended family. We appreciate you. Happy New Year to you. We hope that you have a beautiful 2026.
I love it. Happy New Year, Faisy. Happy New Year. It's going to be a wonderful 2026. That's the vibe I'm going with, only, period, full stop. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Dylan and Patia and Joe, of course. Patia's out here playing tennis against Dylan, who's like in her 70s, somewhere around there, and getting her butt kicked. 40 love, then it was 40 love. And Patia, you know what? You can't underestimate an older lady who plays tennis every single day. That being said, they take a break. And one of the things that Patia really feels is that Joe is the reason why her and Dylan are not married yet. Patia feels like Dylan doesn't have her back for boundaries, is too involved with his mom. His mom is in his ear, and that's why they're having all these problems, which, you guys, it's been 12 years. I don't think that the mom is necessarily the only source of their issues. I think communication is an issue. I think money is an issue, and we'll talk about that shortly. But yeah, the mom is part of it, but definitely not all of it.
Right.
And so it was an awkward sit down at tennis. It was awkward. And Joe's like, listen, I don't want this to be awkward. I'm a very easygoing person. You've had all these preconceived notions about me. And, I heard that you didn't even want to be anywhere near my house or even Dylan's dad's house. And she confronted her. She's like, Patia, did you say that? She's like, yeah, I did. I didn't want that because I hated you. And the mom's like, listen, I've never resented you. I thought we already hashed this out. All the stuff that Dylan said that I said, I never said. And, I only really have a few worries. And my main worry about you is your spending. And to this day, Patia's not she's not owning. You got $20,000 in debt and you're still blaming Dylan because you said he made you move, you were never settled, he made you move again. And so all that debt you believe is his. And the other issue the mom is having is that Patia wants Dylan to sell one of his properties in order to pay off that debt. What are your thoughts on that, Abby?
So I have a question for you first. You as a Canadian, and then you guys, if you're watching from another country, please let me know how it works in your country. I don't understand why the debt is so important to them. Because if she's out of the US, what does it matter how much debt she has to them? Like, how does it affect their day-to-day life, whether or not she has debt? Does it affect her ability to buy a home or buy a car in Australia? Because I'm almost positive, like, if I went to Mexico, for example, they don't care what my credit is in the United States.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know how it's going to work there, but I will tell you this, that your debt in Canada and the US, they can see it all.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if Australia is similar to Canada in that sense, but your debt does carry over and they see it all. So
Okay.
that might be a reason why she's concerned. But again, I don't know how it works in Australia. So someone's asking, what's your
Yeah,
credit score? That is hilarious.
just off topic, just
Mhm.
I'm just a little off topic on that because I was just trying to figure out, like, why is this so important to them? But anyway, as for whether or not he should be responsible or pay for any of her debt, I think if it's concerning him so much that she has debt, then if you're my partner, it's concerning you, then take care of it. Right? It's not concerning me.
But I do remember in an earlier episode, he did say he was going to help her. So he should keep his word and help her. Now, did he say he was going to sell his property? I didn't hear him say that. But if that's something that they discussed, then he should follow through on whatever he promised that would be the case. However, I do think that Patia needs to take responsibility because she did also put herself in that debt. And at least take 50% of the blame. The way she continues to just blame Dylan and not take any accountability really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, she also thinks that it's none of Joe's business. And I'm curious what you guys think in the live chat and what you think, Abby. Should Joe be getting involved in this couple's finances?
Okay, so this is one of the things that I changed my mind on. The first time that I watched this, I thought, where is she coming from just randomly bringing up Patia's spending when they're having a conversation about her communication with Dylan? Why is she throwing spending in Patia's face? But then the second time I watched it, I was like, I wonder if mom is the one who provided seed money or provided like property management for Dylan. And that's why she's invested in whether or not he sells one of his properties. And maybe she could say it differently. Not, I'm worried about your spending and your debt, but I'm worried about my investments.
I think it's none of her business. It's none of her business, guys. It's none of her business. Even if she planted the seed money, even if she's an investor, those are your investments. And an investment, there is risk. And at this point, I think that for me, if you're a couple, if you're in a relationship and a partnership, whatever it is, your money, your finances, your intimate life, all of that stuff is no one's business, period. That's it. And I
Right.
think her inserting herself in it is not okay with me. It doesn't sit well with me, but that's how I felt.
I feel like this entire conversation was unnecessary, except for the part where they're like, she says, I did say those things about you. I only said them because of what Dylan said that you said. We're square on that. But as far as Patia making the request to Joe that you don't call your son so much, that conversation was entirely unnecessary with me because your problem is with your partner.
100%.
If your partner does not want to change his behavior, then this is akin to me to the girls who are like, stop following X, Y, and Z on Instagram, right?
Yep.
Or messaging the girl, but like better example, messaging the girl, can you remove my boyfriend as a follower? Can you remove my husband as a follower? You know, like, no, your problem is with your partner. If your partner doesn't want to address it, your choice at that time is, do I stay in this relationship or do I go? You can't start modifying the behavior of people around them.
Yeah, agreed. So it's about money and the properties, as well as Patia feels Joe is a needy mom, and Joe did not take that very well and said that she's not a needy mom. But then we hear that she talks to Dylan at least 3 times a day, and they're very, very close. And Patia wants them to talk at the maximum 2 times a week. And when they're out, Dylan should wait till they get home. And if it's not an emergency, talk to her then. What are your thoughts on that? Because I don't know if that is a conversation that is worth even having. Like, you knew for the last 12 years that your boyfriend and his mom are very close. If it bothered you, why did you stay 12 years? Because you knew he was a mama's boy, and that's who he is, period.
Yeah. This is not a conversation worth having. It's useless. It's wasted on her because she's going to answer her son's phone call every single time that he calls. So even if she backed out on the amount of times that she calls, Dylan still calls her. Is the problem. So addressing it to the mom is not the issue, especially not addressing it to a mom who actually enjoys communication with their child. It's not one of these moms who like rushes their child off the phone because they have other activities they're doing. She enjoys conversation with her child.
Yeah. And then it gets worse because Patia feels like she got that off her chest by talking to Joe. But then when Dylan picks her up after tennis, she tells him, yeah, I feel great. I got it off my chest. He thinks everything is squashed. But then she's like, yeah. And I told her that, I only want her to call you 2 times a week. And he loses it. Dylan's not happy about it, thinks that him calling his mom shouldn't bother her. He thinks that she doesn't understand the closeness that he has with his mom because she was never close to her mom. And he was like, you're so worried about my mom, you should be worried about your $20,000 in debt. And then he has this dig and it gets ugly. He's like, you blame me for this debt. But it's you're the one that had this debt and you're controlling. And then she says he's controlling. Then he says you're trying to destroy everything and you're worried I'm going to abandon you. And you just really need to pick your battles. And I was like, wow, that went from 0 to 100 really quick. And you guys, you want to know why? They didn't have the finance conversation. I tell you guys about the 5 things that you always have to have that conversation before you get in a serious committed relationship. It's clear to me that they didn't talk about finances, and they haven't talked about finances in the last 12 years because she's mad at him about her debt. He's mad at her about her spending and her debt. And then what do? They think that they're another couple, Abby, that think that they can move to a new location and their problems are not going to follow them. You went to Thailand for a year, it didn't work. You were in Vegas, it didn't work. And now you're here in Australia thinking that it's going to work, but you haven't had the money conversation. It's following you everywhere you go.
Yeah. And some people are not going to understand when you say they haven't had the money conversation because one person's saying, yeah, I do have debt. And the other person's saying, you need to take care of it. I'll help you out a little. That's not a conversation. Like that's not communication about the debt. Communication about the debt is who's going to pay it? How is it going to get paid? What detriment might I suffer if I move away from a place where I'm allowed to work, where I can't work anymore while I have this debt? Like the logistics of it is the communication, not just openly saying that it exists. So if you're partnering with somebody going forward, you should sit down and bring all your bills to the table and all your accounts to the table and be able to say, okay, this is the kind of life that we plan to live. Can we afford it? If not, what do we need to change? Who's going to be responsible for what bill? Who's going to own what? Like, that's the conversation. Not just, I make $76,000 and you make, $120,000 and cool. No, that's not enough.
I agree with you. And you guys know that I always say as well that you need to talk about how you spend money, how you save money, what that 5-year plan looks like for you, because you might be a spender. We're seeing that in Manon and Anthony. They too are not on the same page about money. These conversations need to be had so that when you guys are dealing with finances, because you will be dealing with finance as a couple, that you're both on the same page. And you might not be on the same page every single day of every single moment, but you are of like mind. And if you're not of like mind, money conversations or lack thereof can break up relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Radella, Happy New Year. Okay, moving on to Manon and Anthony. You know what? I got a hard stance on this couple. So I'll start with you, Abby. What were your overall thoughts?
So question, did I miss something? Why is Anthony trying so hard to do something? Like we've seen him try and fail a couple of times, but was there something that I missed? Was there like a birthday or something? What are all these attempts to appease her about?
Appease her as in he's trying to make romantic gestures to her.
Right. Is that coming from some particular event or place?
It's just coming from the fact that they feel like there's a disconnect in their relationship. And back in LA, because she was working so much and he was at stay-at-home dad, they hadn't connected. So part of what he's trying to do is bring back their connection as a couple.
Gotcha. So he's on his job trying to find things that are going to be enjoyable for them to spend time together. He missed the mark a couple of times. One time I agreed that he missed the mark. The other time I thought Manon was being ridiculous. This time he finds something that actually satisfies her, desires and helps them feel more romantic, but they're not fully enjoying it because they had a dumb fight earlier in the day. And I put the responsibility of this fight 95% on Manon and only 5% on Anthony, because I do think he should have just been upfront and said, I do have my wallet, but I don't want to spend money on this particular thing we're supposed to be saving. But he decided to instead be a little bit flippant. So I think that was, a bit childish, but the rest of it, that's her fault. Girl, your financial goals, just like Linda was explaining earlier, your financial goals are all over the place. She doesn't have, in my opinion, truly in mind what you want to do with the money that you brought with you to France. How are you going to prioritize your life in France?
Agreed. Hey, Pasula, Happy New Year. Listen, in my opinion, all the major fights that they've been having is all Manon. 100% all Manon. And I think her go-to is to be angry first and then take that back and walk it back. And she's never happy with anything that he does. And I think that that's unfortunate. And I think that that is creating strife in their relationship. So Anthony, go ahead, and this is his third grand gesture, right? So the goat farm didn't work. The miming didn't work. So now he's trying to do a romantic getaway, but they had a fight earlier in the day because he's trying to figure out what's happening. So first she wants to go get her nails done. And he's like, oh, I'll do your nails so then we can save money. And she's like, oh, what? So now I can't go get my nails done? Now that's something that I always do that I can't do. Let's not forget that neither of you are working. You have no income coming in. You all are staying at your parents' house. You want to buy a house and you want to start a business. So yeah, there might be some places where you're gonna have to pull back and not spend money, Manon. And your nails might have to be done at home for a little bit until you get settled. I don't think Anthony's in the wrong for that. Then not only did she want to get her nails done, but they went to a boutique. She saw some earrings that she wanted to spend money on, but she didn't bring her purse. So she asked Anthony, did he have his wallet? And he lied and said he didn't because he didn't want her to spend money. Now you have a communication issue. Like Abby said, just be upfront with your partner and say, hey, listen, I thought we were saving. This is why I think we shouldn't spend on these little things because we're trying to buy a house. We have a kid, blah, blah, blah. We don't have income, all the things. But instead he just said he didn't have it, which is a bold-faced lie. And then he decided when they was leaving to be, like Abby said, flippant about it and show his wallet. So that pissed her off. And you know that your wife is already a hothead. So you already know that you're going to cause an issue and that is going to be a fight. So I'm not sure what I'm not sure what your point was, except for one-upping her. And like, who wants to be in that type of relationship where you guys are one-upping each other? That's ridiculous, in my opinion. So they were fighting, and they continue to fight in the car because she feels like he's sabotaging her every single time. And here's what was so crazy, you guys, because remember I said back in episode 2 when they were moving, I was like, I don't understand the purpose of the move because your problems are going to follow you. Just like I said with Patia and Dylan, leaving a location is not going to change anything if you don't actually deal with the problem or whatever the issue is. So guess what? Surprise, surprise. Anthony's like, the problems have followed us there. And now he also feels isolated because back in LA, he had his family to support him. And now he has no one to support because his only support system is Manon. And Manon is wiling out.
Mm-hmm.
Wiling out. So he feels like she isolates him and nothing he does makes her happy. She feels that he invalidates her, and she also feels like he doesn't care about losing her. And at the end of the day, their money and their core belief systems are so different. She's not sure that they can get on the same page. And she also feels like she has to be a different person for him. And the funny thing about all of this, it's like she brought it to 100, and he was like, you know what? I was just looking forward to having some alone time with my wife, and I wanted to get a hotel. I wanted to have sexy time with my wife, and just parking, we're already in a terrible spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So imagine you're going to this hotel and we find out it's a love room, right? So it's not just a regular hotel, it's like a love room. There's a jacuzzi, there's no windows, it's soundproof. There's this, a dancing pole, all the things. And right off the bat, she's complaining. Now, I just think, Abby, look at the grand gesture, and maybe it's not your thing. And I said this about the goat farm, and I still believe it. If your partner is trying, make the best of it and enjoy it, and enjoy it, which is what she was able to do after she freaked out. But
Mm-hmm.
you're bringing that negative energy in, and you've been bringing it in this whole time. And I'm just trying to figure out why do you get mad all the time? Why?
Mm-hmm.
She says something funny, and I wanted to discuss it because you brought it up our last episode. So he has a surprise for her. He knows that she loves him in his army fatigues. So he puts on the army fatigues, even though he doesn't like wearing them. And he gets on the pole, does a little dance, a little dance for her. She starts laughing. The mood lightens up. And she's like, oh, you're such a nice guy. You're such a cute guy. And it lightened her up, right, Abby? But here's what she said that I thought was interesting, and you mentioned it, and you want to dive a little deeper into it. So she said, he's a nice guy, cute guy, versus her being the bad girl, the crazy girl, the loud girl, the big girl, the girl that takes up space. And then he adds in the dramatic girl and the emotional girl. Now, if you guys recall our previous episode, Abby talked a little bit about being plus size and the stereotypes that come with that. And so I thought it was interesting that she brought up the same thing. She brought up the same thing where if you're plus size, all of a sudden you're considered loud, you're considered like big, you take up too much space, you're being dramatic and all this. And that's something I just never thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned it, and I was like, and even though you mentioned it, Abby, I was like, I guess because I don't see that in other people that I would never think that, but I guess it's a stereotype that is out there.
Oh, it absolutely is. You guys, if you follow her on social media, she's actually been talking about it a little bit more as well. But I see it all the time around me in two different ways. I see it with people who are large, and I also see it with people who are dark skinned. Like the first firm that I worked in, I was not a nice person. I was not approachable, but there was another lawyer who started there just a little bit before me. She was super bubbly, nice to everybody, always stopping to have conversations. But whenever there came a time that someone had to make a supposition about either one of our characters, they always assumed that she was rude and that she was short. And I was very clearly the rude, short person who was not there to make friends. And the only thing that it could come down to is skin tone. You know, and I see the same thing happen with larger people as well. If a person in a restaurant, if I complain about food that's served to me, it's no big deal. Like, it's not. But the way that I will see my sister contemplate, do I complain about my food or do I just eat it just because you're a bigger person and the things that people might say about you? I have an even better example. Oh my gosh, this was terrible. My Pilates class last Friday, I was sitting behind a pole when the class was over. And so the instructor and the receptionist didn't know that I was still in the building. And they proceeded to talk about the larger people in the class who weren't able to catch on as quickly to some of the instructions. I've had many classes where I couldn't catch on to some of the instructions, and I doubt they would ever talk about me that way, but just when you're bigger and you voice your opinion and you have some preferences on how you would like to be treated, people tend to think, why are you complaining? You should just accept whatever you get, as opposed to her being able to say, I didn't like a certain thing. When she said she didn't like, when she first complained about not having any windows, it reminded me of a friend of mine from Jamaica. We were staying at a hostel in Mexico, and we went to like 3 different ones. She complained that the first 2 didn't have windows. And I was like, oh my God, you island girl. Like, So, but when Manon, to me, it was like, whatever, we'll go to the next one because you want windows, right? But when Manon complained about it, like the uproar online that she should just accept whatever, as opposed to my little cute little Jamaican friend saying the exact same thing. And nobody in our group cared. We're just like, okay, we'll go to the next one.
So it's interesting. So you guys, live chat, or if you're watching the replay, do you have any stories where you have seen that this happens, where maybe someone is plus size and they are stereotyped? I would love to hear your story if you've experienced that, or someone who has experienced that. Manon, for me, it has nothing to do with Manon's size. I just want to know why she's always fighting with her husband. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more to that I don't really understand yet, and maybe it will play itself out in future episodes. But to me, I'm looking at this relationship, and Anthony may not be perfect, but he is trying, and he's really trying to bring this relationship closer together. And I'm trying to figure out where he is failing her in her mind,
Right.
And why her go-to is to always constantly yell and belittle him. That's it. That's what I want. The bottom line, I want to figure that part out.
I have another theory I was thinking about. Since she is so clearly business minded, like she cannot get away from always thinking about everything as a capitalistic venture. I wonder if being like that kind of person in nature makes you look at what's wrong first instead of what's right. Like you're constantly in a state of trying to fix something. Maybe that's part of, like, that doesn't make you insult people, but maybe that makes you walk into an apartment and go, where are all the plugs?
Yeah, that sounds kind of logical. So maybe that's part of it. Like that CEO mentality. Let's always make sure we're at the top of our game. But at some point, you also have to remember that this is your personal relationship and it's not a business transaction, and that your significant other has feelings, and you should bring those feelings to the forefront and communicate your needs and wants with them instead of just like harping at them. Because from my perspective, he is trying to communicate his needs without also minimizing her. And right. I don't see it flowing the other way. So
it's not going the other way. And I'm surprised they've been together for as long as they've been together with the way that she behaves, because I have been told in multiple like therapy type sessions that once you start assuming the worst of your partner as opposed to assuming the best of them, that's like a number one predictor that therapists use when they're evaluating couples and couples counseling as to whether or not the relationship is going to be successful. Has 100%. One of the partners or both the partners already started assuming the worst of the other partner, and then they're like, okay, this has little chance of success.
100%. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper in that. When everything that your partner does that you've seen and heard for years starts getting on your nerves, so you know that maybe they burp after a soda pop, all of a sudden they burp again and you just cringe, or maybe they turn their head the wrong way and you cringe. When you get to a point where everything your partner does irritates you, it's all downhill from there. Because you know what? As a female, you've already checked out. You just don't know you've checked out.
Exactly.
Moving on to Johnny and Chloe. Abby, from an immigration attorney perspective, what did you think of their segment?
Okay, so I looked at the partnership thing again, because remember last time I was like, I don't know what they're talking about, this partnership thing. I cannot find it. So this is something that's for Dutch citizens. I wrote it down, but where did I write it down? I remember writing it down. So it's for Dutch citizens who were born in Aruba. So my question was, like, all this time, I have been questioning whether or not Johnny was Aruban. I thought they were maybe, immigrants there. But if he's eligible for it, that means he was born in Aruba. You guys, you have to be an opposite gender to your partner. They do not allow same-sex marriages or same-sex partnerships there. And you have to renew it yearly, which makes it not, the best situation, that every year you have to worry about getting a renewed visa. And she would have to spend some time in the United States during that process. But from my perspective, dealing with immigration in the US, the time period is not that bad. Like here, it can take you 10, 15 years to get to residency status. So having to only wait, 5 months outside of the US and then 3 more months to get a job, that is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think the time period was a big deal, but when I looked at the requirements and it specified that you have to be a Dutch citizen born in Aruba, that was the most curious part to me.
So here's the thing. This is what was crazy to me, you guys. Okay, so this is what irritated me. You all knew, Chloe and Johnny, that Chloe, you were moving to Aruba. You knew this. Your friend had a little ghetto going away situation. Your mom knew. You left the job. All the things. I don't understand why you're a woman of means. I don't understand why you didn't do the research first, so that the 8 months that it took you to actually get there and move could have been the 8 months that you guys had already applied for the domestic partnership. And that way you wouldn't have to go back because you already did it and you have it by the time you land. Why was that not thought about? But here's the thing, on 90 days, they never think about it. They just go and hope for the best. The second thing that is wild to me is, so they go to meet the immigration lawyer to find out what these next steps are and how they can get these domestic partnership papers. But the domestic partnership papers are only for her to be able to stay in Aruba legally. She will still need an employer willing to pay for her work permit.
Right.
So not only does she have to do the domestic partnership papers, she needs to do a work permit and get a job and make sure that she has the skills and qualifications and all the things that employer is looking for, that they're willing to shell out of pocket to pay for her work permit so she can work for them. And okay, I know that you worked for a big corporation and maybe that will translate over, but we also know that corporation belonged to your mom. So I don't know what that looks like. But the lawyer does say she needs to legalize her status, and then her work will follow. And he was really, and I don't know if you felt this, Abby, but he was really pushing more on the married side. Because if you got married, then you can bring your partner in automatically, he said, and it can be fast. Partnerships can cost $600 to $700, take 5 months, which she would have to go back to the US or abroad or wherever she, you know what I mean? She couldn't.
Definitely.
And then After she becomes legal, so after she gets the domestic partnership, it can take another 3 months. So the whole process can be 8 to 9 months, and at least 5 of those she's got to be back in the United States. So he's right. So she's nervous about that because they've had some infidelity issues on both sides. Although she doesn't acknowledge her infidelity, but we know that Johnny's mentioned it quite a few times. And so she's worried that if they go long distance, they won't survive. That's worrisome for me. So you can't be away from your partner at all. You won't survive.
Yeah, that's like a huge red flag you're saying out of your own mouth, Chloe, because you shouldn't have to be in your partner's face in order for them to be faithful.
Right. And you shouldn't have to have the cameras. We met her with the cameras in his apartment. We met her and her friend driving down, spying on him while he was at work.
Mhm.
So it seems to me, Chloe, that you're the one with the insecurities. And we can say, okay, he cheated. Because like I've told you guys before, I've been cheated on before in the past, but that's it. Like I can't go back because I don't like the person I become. I'm not that person. So either you fully forgive that person and move on and don't hold it against them, or you just don't be with them. Because it seems to me if you've forgiven him, then you have to move forward and you cannot then turn around and be extra, extra jealous, extra, extra all over him and doubting him because you said you forgave him.
Right. This can't be how you want to spend your life. You can't want to spend your life in this like constant limbo of is he being faithful or not? If I go home to visit my mom, is he going to be faithful or not? Like, do you want to spend your time that way? But I can't answer your other question, Linda. You said, how is it that she moved there without them ever thinking about the visa issue? Because they're both colonizers.
Abby, I was not ready. I know we're in the new year, and I know sometimes you just like say it how it is, but I was not ready. I was not ready. I was not ready. I've been in such like peace and love and mode, and that was like a slap back into reality, America.
And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back. There are so many. Every once in a while, you guys, I make a video on TikTok that is for the purpose of explaining immigration to American citizens, because a lot of Americans are so incredibly oblivious to what immigration requires. And that's what leads to them having some prejudices against immigrants. Some of them are just horrible people, but some of them suffer a lack of knowledge, right? And because there's a huge lack of knowledge of what immigration requires, some people in the United States think they could just move to another country and just live there, So all of these stories came out during COVID, especially. They always happened before that, but during COVID, all these stories came out of Americans being deported from like Indonesia, deported from Mexico, and all the time they'd be on the news going, we didn't think that there was any issue with us just staying, here. We were working and we had an apartment. And like, it's because you're an idiot. Because you're an idiot. So like, this isn't like an issue of, this is a very American issue, not knowing that immigration has requirements.
I'm just going to nod my head.
It is. Like, you should see, like, I get hate comments sometimes, like evil comments just for explaining immigration.
I mean, it definitely is a hot button topic in America for sure. And I think that part of what would help Americans understand is if you would just go and travel a little bit outside of America. So I don't mean like, hey, you're from California and you went to Texas, woo, you've traveled. I'm saying leave the country, go somewhere where you've never been, and spend some time there. And even if you do that once every couple of years because you know you're on the grind or whatever, it will open your eyes to a lot of things. And really make you understand your neighbor, which, you know, we all want to live in harmony with our neighbor. And instead of having some preconceived notions about what you think people are doing, you'll see that they're just like you.
Yeah.
And you might actually even enjoy, that burrito you love so much, and that taco that you love so much, and the Korean barbecue you love so much, all that stuff. Those are probably made by immigrants that are your neighbors. And they're the same neighbors that you're seeing on TV and doing all the things that you're talking about that you're so upset about. So just go travel.
Yeah. Sometimes also just having the tiniest bit of information can change a person's perspective on something, and like allow yourself to be the conduit of that information. I had a taxi driver the last time I went to New York who was from Uzbekistan, which was crazy to me because I went to Uzbekistan last year. And so I played him a song that I heard when I was there. And he got so excited. He's like, how do you know this song? Like, oh my God, Kushikali, Kushikali. If you're from Uzbekistan, you know that song and you're excited that I know it too. But anyway, I said, do you mind if I ask how you got your residency? Because he mentioned that he had a green card. I said, you don't have to answer. I'm just like curious. And he said he did it through the diversity visa program, and immediately added, not like those illegals who come here. And I was like, oh, no. He specified a particular country. And I said, oh no, do you know that only certain countries have diversity visa available? Only countries that have significantly low numbers historically of immigration to the US. And since Uzbekistan really just opened up to travel, you guys, now have the diversity visa program. And he was like, no, everybody can't do this. No, everybody can't do that. And he was like, oh, and he just sat with it. Like, so before you say something ignorant about what somebody else is doing, because my friend or my neighbor did it this way or the right way, just a little bit of information can change that opinion.
Yep. And information could have really helped Johnny and Chloe. Like that segue. So the lawyer asked, have you guys talked about getting married? And Johnny's like, marriage is not a small step. And my question to you guys in the live chat or the replay, do you think that they are ready to get married? I have my own opinion, but I will leave it to the end. They sit down, they're going to get some food, and he asks her, are you ready to get married? And he feels like he's ready, but he's afraid that if it gets too hard, that she might leave. And I said, you know what? He's saying the right things right now, and he's asking the right questions, and he has the right concerns, because she's 23 and she is, for lack of better words, a little bit immature, a little bit sheltered, and has not had any real life experience. And he goes on to say, she's used to having a specific lifestyle. And she's like, I still want to have my martini nights and go out. And he's like, I understand that. And that's the problem, because I have no problem taking care of you, but I'm not going to be able to give you the lifestyle and standard of lifestyle that you're used to. And so you're going to have to be patient. And are you able to be patient? And are you able to adjust to this lifestyle? Because it's going to be a lot more simple, a lot more basic, and not full of money. And mom's not giving you $10,000 a month to go spend how you want to spend. That's not going to be realistic. Are you going to be able to get married and handle that? And she thinks that she's ready. And he talks about, if we get married, it's going to be like in 2 weeks. Are you sure you're ready? And here's the thing that was a little red flaggish to me. He said he's looking for someone to marry, and he loves her a lot. And so why not marry her?
Taxi cab theory.
I often hear that, women can be in these long-term relationships with men, right? Like you've dated them, you've been together with them for 3 years and they break up with you, they never marry you. And then, 6 months down the road, they meet some girl and they marry that girl within 6 months. And they always say when the guy is actually ready, it doesn't matter who's in front of him, that's who he's going to marry. And I'm sorry, but that's what that sounded like. I'm looking for someone to marry. I love you a lot right now. So, like, why not marry you?
Yeah, it's like that awful song. We ain't getting no younger. We might as well do it. I never understand when people play that song at their weddings. I'm like, this is the saddest song on earth. Like, just settle for you. I have some more criticism for Chloe, though, so I might as well go ahead and say it now. Chloe says, I wrote it down. I've traveled. I know what I want. Chloe, traveling around the world, staying in a bunch of fancy hotels is not the kind of travel that actually gives you life experiences and allows you to become independent and grow as a person.
100%. 100% what Abby just said. Also, I'm going to pop up what Faziz is saying. Chloe thinks that this is going to be a permanent beach vacation. No way. Chale is going to make anywhere near 6 figures a year in Aruba.
No. Not that she needs to make 6 figures to be like happy or successful, but one of the questions that they haven't talked about, which is also on Linda's list, is what are you visualizing for the future? Like, what kind of work do you even see yourself doing? If you don't want Johnny staying on the pirate ship all the time, what kind of work do you visualize him doing? Like, there has been no clear picture presented of what they expect for their future life to look like. So how exactly are they moving towards it with not even like an outline of a plan?
Right. And Chloe, I mean, you worked at your mama's. You worked at your mama's, you lived at your mama's, you travel like you are a jet setter, one percenter, and he's not going to be able to be a pirate his whole life. He's not going to be able to climb that thing when he's like, 50, I don't know, 60, 65, whatever. It's just not sustainable. So, what does your future look like? Are we talking about that at all? Or are we just going to be like, oh?
Yeah.
Problematic. And you guys, I don't know. I just don't think it's romantic if a guy says to you, well, I'm looking to get married. I like you right now. You'll do.
That is you know what else is not romantic though, that a lot of people fall for? Well, I don't know if I should say fall for. A lot of people accept, let's say they accept it, is when you meet someone on vacation and like you're staying in a hotel where the staff is not supposed to commingle with you,
Mhm.
and they make a point of pursuing you in this kind of situation where you can't really date,
Mhm.
while you're on that vacation. It's just like undercover hooking up, right?
Mhm.
And then they come back here and I've just met the love of my life and I want to do a K1 fiance petition.
Yep. Vacay Bay. I already told you guys. Vacay Bay. Remember that. Remember that. Becca, money. Talk about money. Talk about sex. Talk about kids. Talk about religion. Talk about future. Those are your 5 things. How do you spend money? How do you save money? What does that look like in your relationship? Talk about debt. Talk about debt to ratio. Talk about your FICO score, your credit score, whatever you call it in wherever you are. Sex is important. I don't care what you say. Sex is important in a relationship. If you're not having sex in your relationship, that person's your friend. How often do you want to have sex? How often do you need to have sex? What does that look like for you? Are you just like regular? Do you have any kinks? Do you have any special needs? Those conversations need to be had. Children. Do you want children? Do you not want children? We're looking at and seeing that in Greta and Matthew's relationship. Do you think you're going to change your mind about children in the future? Is there an age gap in between you guys? Because someone who's 20 might say that they don't want kids now, but might want kids when they're 30 or when they're 35, when they're 40. What are your thoughts on children? You need to talk about religion. Is it important to you? What do you believe? Is it not important to you? Are you not a believer? Part two of that is extended to the children, because if you do decide children and you're a believer and your partner is not a believer, how are you going to raise the children? And what does that look like? What does it look like when they go to school? Are they going to go to a private school that includes faith and religion? Are they not? That's a conversation that needs to be had. What does the future look like for you? If someone broke their foot and couldn't work for 2 months, or 6 months, or 6 years, what does that look like? What does the future look like? Does your partner have a career? If they don't have a career, what's the career going to look like in the future? So those are all the things that I say you need to have a conversation about, a real conversation. Rip off the band-aids, rip off the fake faux representative, because if you're going to spend your life with this person, you have to be open and honest about your beliefs before you get in a committed relationship with them, period, full stop.
Yep.
Last and certainly not least, and very heartbreaking to me, but very strong, and I wish more people communicated their needs and wants and desires, like Greta. I also commend Greta for not backing down on what she wanted to do. And she was not, Matthew was not able to wiggle his way back in by trying to create an alternate situation like he has been doing throughout his season. So you don't want to have kids, don't worry, I'll be double the father. You don't want to have, I don't know, sex, don't worry, I will have less sex. You know what I mean? Like he would twist it, and he was trying to twist it here by saying, oh, well, relationships are not always going to be 50-50. Sometimes they're going to be 90-10. Sometimes they're going to be 75-25. And because we've only spent like 3-4 days, that's probably what's going on here. And we just need more time. So do you see how he's trying to twist it?
Yeah.
I like the fact that she stood firm in her beliefs and what she knew was true for her. So that being said, I'll get your take, Abby, before I do the breakdown.
Question: did you guys feel annoyed that she was having to coach him through this breakup? Like, she's not only having to manage her own feelings and express herself, but because he kept on pushing back, she's having to coach him through this breakup by rebutting everything that he brings up. And I found myself annoyed by that. I did. One other thing that I was feeling is, at some point he said, this isn't the second time that I changed my opinion about someone, you guys. So at one point he says, is it the cameras, right? And the first time I watched it, I thought, oh, are the cameras the reason why that he hasn't been able to express affection to her in a way that mirrored whatever she felt previously about him? And this time I watched it and I said, what do the cameras got to do with you not cleaning up your room and making space for her? What do the cameras got to do with you telling her multiple times she stinks? You're like, what do the cameras got to do with you taking her to a place to visit for a future home that meets none of the requirements of what she said that she wanted? And moreover, what does a camera have to do with, during the time that she was studying for the bar and she felt herself slipping away, what did that have to do with whatever kind of support you were not providing? Like, no daily check-ins with her, no regular phone calls that you had scheduled during her time that she was not studying, no sending some flowers or thoughts of you. Where's your congratulations on finishing the bar gift? We never saw that.
Facts. Becca says, I've heard other content creators also saying how Greta not only gave him grace, but also took responsibility for some of their shortcomings to make it easier for Matthew. And I do want to get into that a little bit. As women and, automatic nurturers or thought of nurturers, it's interesting to me how we're always nurturing men so that they can feel better about a situation that they don't necessarily like or feel uncomfortable about. And We definitely saw a lot of that in this situation. So Greta says right off the bat to his face directly that she doesn't love anymore. And he says, thank you for being honest. But then talks about how, relationships are not always 50-50, the 90-10, 75-25. She doubles down and says, I love you as a person, but I can't force myself to be in love with you. She goes on to say that she needs to know herself more before she can commit to someone. And she does not want to move forward in this relationship. He is not listening to any of that. I mean, I don't know how much clearer she could be. He goes on to say that it's only been 3 or 4 days and they need more time and there's something more still to explore. MF, she literally said, I don't love you anymore. She literally said, I don't want to move forward in this. I don't know how much clearer she can be. And so the fact that you're not only minimizing and not listening to what she's saying, but you're literally dismissing it is what irritated me. Because how much clearer can she be? It's that same thing, no means no. She's saying no. I don't want this, no. So your words or actions should not be trying to change what this woman has said, not once, not twice, but multiple times, that she doesn't want this. She wants to be alone. She wants to be alone. Her direct words, I want to be alone. I want to find myself, and I don't think I should do that with anyone else until I find myself. I don't want to commit myself to someone else when I don't know who I am. Literally says that. You know what he says? This is all so sudden. So then she has to go back and pacify him and say, well, no, it's not sudden. I've been pulling back for the last 6 months. And I haven't shared anything with you. I haven't been affectionate with you. I haven't talked to you. And like Abby said, even when I was going through all the bar situation, you were nowhere there. I went through that myself. And then, of course, he's not hearing her, in and out one ear. He's like, well, is it because of the cameras and the camera? And then she said, no. And you know what else she said? It's over. What does he say? He was not prepared. And he's like, you don't just suddenly not love someone. And Math, she just said she's been feeling this way for over 6 months. Because you're not listening to her, that might be part of the problem. She's directly communicating to you, and you are literally not listening. And instead of like having active listening ears on, you are saying all the things that you want it to be. She gives him the ring back, and when I say that she was slick Rick with it, she was slick Rick with it. He's looking at her, his hand is like this. She is doing this with her own hand the whole time. She like takes that ring off. His hand is sitting on the table. She acts like she's holding his hand, releases it. Pow! The ring is in his hand. I was like,
yeah. She was like, clearly, I'm not going to get stuck in some kind of handhold hug situation. I'm in and out on this. Bam.
Bam. And pulled her hand back. Goes on to say that she's firm, that she has to make this decision. And maybe it's a mistake, but she's standing, what is it, you guys? 10 toes deep? Standing 10 toes deep in this decision. And there's no turning back.
Yeah.
What's up? Because she's already pacified him. She's explained to him directly multiple times. She realizes in this moment that she just needs to remove herself and excuse herself from the situation, was what she does. She gets up. She goes to the room that was not prepared for her. The rolling rack that she has to like slide her stuff in, and starts taking her stuff up. And she has decided that she's going to go to a hotel. And he finally realizes, and here's what I hated the most. Here's what I hated the most. I get, you guys, that rejection can be hard. Breakups are absolutely hard. Broken hearts are hard. Okay? But lashing out is really disgusting. Maybe have your frustrations and, channel them another way. Maybe talk to a therapist, talk to your friend, talk to your mama, and let it out that way. But when you lash out to your partner because they hurt your feelings, it's disgusting to me. So when Matthew said, Greta is always chasing a thrill in life, and I guess the roller coaster just ended. You didn't feel that way 20 minutes ago. You didn't feel that way a year ago. You thought you were gonna spend your life with this wonderful woman that you met on a vegan dating app. You thought she was the bee's knees, or else you wouldn't have went out and bought a ring for her and said that you wanna spend your whole life with her. So now she's a thrill seeker. I hate that for you. I hate that for you, and I hate that you said that, Matthew.
Yeah. Yeah. When he said that, it kind of reminded me, like, in Mariah Carey's book, she wrote a song about this relationship she was having with another man while she was with Tommy Mottola, with a baseball player. And she wrote that song Under the Roof that's like so sexy and sensual and hot. And she goes, I don't have any idea why Tommy thought that I wrote the song about him. It just And so when he says, like, oh, she's always seeking a thrill and the ride just ended, I'm like, did you think you were a ride? Did you think that you were some grand roller coaster? Like, what excitement were you providing? What excitement do you think that you were providing? Your ho-hum mundane life. You had every single night together and you said we didn't have any time off the camera. You had all the time in the world to impress this woman and knock her socks off. You didn't. You failed. And I'm sorry, like Linda said, breakups hurt, but I personally think this is a lot your fault. Like, what did you do to make this woman feel welcome when she arrived? She was looking for her connection to come back. And
And
you
you guys,
didn't do anything to spark it.
you didn't. And don't forget, you guys, she has spent many years attaining her law degree, passing the bar, all the things, and she was just like, "Hey, you're gonna be a housewife, and there's nothing wrong with that, and pop up some babies for me." And then when she was doubting having babies, the fact that he literally said, "Well, I'll just be double the father," just really think about how much that invalidates who she is as a woman. And so that's it. And then you didn't make space for her. Like Abby said, you told her that she smelled after she traveled halfway across the world just to be with you, remembering that she just got that degree and all that stuff, and it's all sitting on her back. And you are at your mama's house and you can't even make a drawer for her. Wild, wild, wild.
Extremely wild.
That being said, you guys, happy to be back. Thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you on the flip side. Bye, guys. Ooh, I wonder if it's gonna